Okay? Ready to go. All right. First thing, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillor Glenn.
Councillor. Oh, okay, good. And do we accept Councillor Glenn's
Yes.
apology for absence?
We certainly do.
Cool. Next thing, 1721 declarations of interest. Receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers under section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, standing order 35. This applies only in respect to matters which should be considered by the committee at this meeting. Are there any disclosable pecuniary interests?
No.
No.
Okay, and would anyone like to declare any other interests?
Personally.
Jolly good. Next, any representations from interested parties? Have we been notified of any?
No.
No? Okay, so we can move on. Minutes of the previous meeting. Has anybody had a look? Did they look?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good. Nobody's got any objections? Would somebody like to propose them?
I'll propose them.
Thank you, Sue. Somebody else second? Peter? Brilliant. Okay.
Full house, I think. Possibly. Full house on that.
Okay, first action item we've got is to look at quotes from Securifield to repair the boardwalk. So what's the latest on the boardwalk, Annika? There was
The
possibility
really
Johnny-
bad bridge collapse has
Yeah.
been repaired.
Has Johnny done that?
Yep.
Good.
He is now coming back this week because he thinks that the timbers, the uprights, are okay,
Yeah.
and all that's
It's
collapsed.
the horizontals, isn't it?
Boarding.
Either
And he
in the middle
thinks
or-
that you could easily take all that off and reboard it using a lot of the wood that's there
Okay.
already. So he's going to give us a quote for that.
Good, okay. And I kind of hope he comes up with something competitive because he's a useful sort of guy.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. He's doing this as an independent then, is he, H, not as a councillor? Are you talking about John?
John,
No, Johnny Mac.
Sorry.
Johnny Mac.
He lives in
Oh, Johnny Mac. Oh, yeah, right. Okay,
Three
sorry.
timbers.
Forgive me.
Oh, no. So that's good. Johnny
I didn't.
sorted the immediate problem and he's coming back to us. And what kind of feeling did you get from the Securifield guys? Are they?
Yeah, I think they're a good company. I mean, I got their brochure. They came out and we walked the whole site. They knew what they were talking about.
That's their business for sure, yeah.
But obviously it's a lot of money. And they did say, however, there are the two options they've given us. So you put plastic posts in and you can put a timber top, or you can do completely plastic. And once you've done that, you'll never ever have to replace it again.
It was a lot of money.
The only thing that concerned me with completely plastic was because the boardwalk was so long, I imagine they'll have to do it in like zigzag sections for that for expansion, because you get a lot of expansion with plastic. I don't know if they made any mention of that or if they...
What would the view be of, I don't know, people, Green England, or I'm just making a name up now, but because when we first had it done, there were various things that we had to adhere to, like it being green, etc. How would plastic fit with
The environment.
The
No,
environment,
we'd have to
yeah.
check.
The other thing you'd have to
You know-
check with plastic is whether it would be non-slip.
Yeah, it's made.
I was just going to
like
say,
that
that's
now.
what I was thinking.
But they make it specially now.
Okay.
They do make it
It's got a gritty surface on it.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I'm sort of in favour
So
of
what were the quotes looking like?
repairing it.
Yeah, my feeling is, let's wait till Johnny's quoted for doing it,
Yeah.
because it'll be a great deal less. I mean, okay, it may not be the ideal long-term solution, but as long as the posts aren't rotting, you can just kind of keep repairing ad infinitum. You know, and if one day it really gets bad in terms of rotting,
Well, we'll have to go
Yeah,
for
then you
the
have to make the
right way.
decision.
But I think if you look at the way it's gone, you know, if it just continues deteriorating in local areas, we can just keep repairing it as we need to, I think. But I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, I've looked
Johnny,
at these
you've done
these two quotes, and they are excessively high.
I think they're expensive.
And as I know Johnny Mac, so I know he'll do a good job.
it. Yeah.
So I
Go
don't
with
want to
that
sort of
then.
show an interest because I'm not interested, but I do know him, and I believe his prices will be a lot better. So
Yeah,
I have to check it out.
And whilst, you know, it's a nice facility people have, it's not a 50 grand facility, is
No.
it? You know, it's just...
No, if it was in the
Right.
town.
How are we doing with the, I think we permitted £2,000, was it, at the last meeting? How's he doing with the,
Well, the first bill was 500,
right,
so
so
we've
he's,
still got to spend to do the next emergency bit, which is the bit where somebody's put temporary,
Yeah.
which is quite scary to get past when you walk down there. And then obviously we can start on the other bits that have gone.
Yes, I mean, it sounds as if the £2 grand is easily going to cover all the
Because
emergency repairs.
the quotes from Securafield don't include the removal of all the wood off site,
Ah.
which is another cost you'd have to factor in. That's a lot of wood.
Well, and funnily enough, that's what led me to think maybe we should repair this, because I was walking along and thinking how much work it would be to pull it all up and start again. I thought, well, that's because it's still pretty sound. So I think it's useful to have their quotes on file. I think let's see what Johnny comes back with, because that just feels like the right sort of solution.
Okay.
But it's not the kind of facility that's used by enormous numbers of people.
It isn't, you know, it might, I don't know, 10 people a day, is it?
I was going
Max.
Yeah, you haven't got
Weekends,
streams
really.
of people going over.
The odd fishermen and the people who walk in their dogs,
Yeah.
pretty well is what we're talking about. It just isn't, it really doesn't go anywhere, that's the thing.
I mean, it may be that we should be charging the fishing club, even if it's only a small amount per annum,
£50 a year or something. Or whatever.
towards the
Yeah.
maintenance of it.
Because they probably are the biggest users.
They are the biggest users by a long way, and not only that, but they're not just walking down there, they're dragging great big cartloads
All
of
trailers.
fishing.
They've got flipping trailers
Yeah,
now,
and I
virtually.
think you would make them take it seriously.
Yeah.
have you been in touch with Troy? I gave you his contact details.
No. No, I've not. I need to contact him. And just, if only to update him. I'll do that right now.
I think we're going the right way about this.
Doesn't seem to
Well,
be-
No, it's not.
To be honest, I think this is the right approach. I mean, I'm no expert on rebuilding, you know, that thing, but from an engineering point of view, I just don't think we should be completely rebuilding the thing
No,
at all. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think unless anybody's got any objections, we wait for Johnny's quote. Hopefully it'll be much more realistic, and we let him finish the repairs, and then we agree with him how we want him to do the ongoing
Yeah.
kind of...
Have you got an idea about how much he might quote? You know, to look not holding you to anything.
No, but it's going to be, it's. I would have thought to do all the work on it, it's going to be well under 5,000, yeah, to get it up to snuff again.
So shall we say max 6 then?
Well, I think so, but let's just wait. He's
Yes.
sort of-
No, that's a fair.
Guessing.
Maximum, yeah.
I know I'm guessing.
We don't need to approve any further expenditure at the moment.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, it's got to go to full council anyway.
Yeah.
Can I also say that if John is cheap enough to do the work now, I personally think that we then should sort of say to him, look, we need you to go and have a look at it every 12 months and rectify any problems.
Well, I think we could build that into the, you know, like the annual walk around we have, don't we? I mean, and I go across it occasionally with the dog, so, and anybody else who does, I think. But you're right, Peter. Worst case, we just go down there every year with him and say, this looks like it needs doing, this looks like it needs doing. Then, yeah.
We could do that for us, you see, and send us a report, couldn't we?
Well, he could, yeah. But we'd need to be comfortable
Oh yeah,
with the
we
proposal.
still have to go and check it out, and what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, if he sees it, he can sort of phone us up and say, look, this needs doing urgently.
Get a figure
That's
that
good
Malcolm
sorting.
can put in the annual budget.
Absolutely, yeah. Like a maintenance...
Yeah, if we've got a figure.
Well,
for
we're gonna have to do
each
some-
year.
A maintenance amount.
You're going to have to
Yeah.
do some maintenance down there.
Okay.
So the only other thing I'd say is that once it's been brought up to a reasonable standard, you know, it's then really down to our maintenance team, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's another possibility, depending if they've got time.
Absolutely.
At the moment,
No. I didn't wish
Okay.
to put inappropriate, you know, pressure on them to
Yeah.
do additional work.
Okay. So, is there any more on the boardwalk? Everybody happy
No,
with that?
That's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good. So, let's move on to this boot camp. What's the latest on the boot camp? I haven't seen
Well, I
this.
went back to him with the questions that you raised at the last meeting. And
Yeah.
obviously he's replied, and you've got that reply, so now it's up to you to revisit that.
I love the bit about I won't start before 6 a.m.
I have to say, I'm still not convinced.
I'm not.
I'm not.
I don't think we need it because the gym do it, and I don't think it's appropriate.
But you can't turn someone down because other people are doing it, can you?
I agree.
That's
No,
not
No, no,
a
no.
valid reason.
I haven't done that.
No, but on the other hand, it's not something we need.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
need
but
We
to
don't have
limit
people
someone.
writing in saying, please can we have a boot camp?
Yeah, but it's an initiative, isn't it, of some description, so, you know, it's
Two-
rather
two
like
times
putting on a
Bearing
food
in mind
festival.
that East Northants Council are trying to raise the profile of wellbeing and health
Absolutely.
and boot camps and walking,
Absolutely.
trying to get all of these things off the ground.
I,
That's the
I,
thing.
my view is I think, as you're saying, I think we've got to let him have a go, and it's like, okay, you can do it for a trial period, and let's see how it goes. Because I feel uncomfortable denying him, because there are other people who use that ground for other things. Granted, not necessarily money-making things. But it's,
How long
it's,
would you give the period? A month?
Well, I think you've got to say 3 months.
I
You're
think
gonna give him a
3 months,
trial,
like
don't give him
Peter.
3, haven't you?
yeah, or at least a couple of months, I think. Yeah, he's got to be able to run
Can
through
I
some
ask
stress.
again?
Sorry,
It's probably
Val.
been said before. How, as it were, committed does an area of the rec have to be? You know, are they wanting to leave, as it were, permanent or semi-permanent equipment installed or anything like that?
I
So
think it'd be
how does
crazy
it
to
work
do that,
then?
so people are
Is
going
it
to...
just somebody coming down there and doing exercise then?
You know, don't you?
Well, it is, and they have things like big rubber tyres and stuff.
Yeah, but where
like
are they
that.
going to be kept? That's what I'm asking.
It depends what you... Yeah.
Precisely my point.
It's big rubber tyres, it's...
We haven't got
it's things that they
storage.
jump over and that kind of stuff.
So maybe that's a question we've not asked
I
yet.
think we
Annika,
need
that
to ask
we need
more
to ask is,
questions.
you know, any equipment he's bringing, is he intended to bring it to each session and then take it away again? Because
Yeah,
we're
otherwise
not,
we've
we're
got
not up for him.
insurance.
Oh yeah, he can't just
We've got
leave the stuff lying
commitments
around.
and
In a way, it's the same as the fair. They come, they put the stuff up, and then they take it all away again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
you've
think,
got to just find
the,
out.
the answer there is we give them a 3 month trial on the understanding that equipment brought in will be taken away the same day.
Yeah,
And you have
that's where I am with
insurance,
the
he's
fixing.
already
Yeah.
approved that.
And the insurance and all the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just the time and just the early morning timing of it, because they do these things early. The gym do it at 7 o'clock.
No, I go running at 5.
Well, so you know.
but a lot of people are out exercising in the morning.
Some
And,
of
you
us
know,
got stronger legs.
So you're going to restrict a time on it? Or?
well, he said he's not going to be there before 6. I mean, that's
So,
I don't think 6 is too early, to be honest.
not in the summer.
No.
Well, so, yeah, so
You
my
see
view
now
is
the complaints of
we
the
give him a trial period, we
Yeah,
make
give
it
him
clear
a
he
trial.
can't, you know, leave equipment there, he's got to bring it and take it away.
It's,
Yeah.
the wreck doesn't sit, I mean, it's away, difficult geographically, but I can't see that anything they do would really upset people who abut that.
I don't think we're talking about upsetting people. are we?
No, but I mean, you are, if
The
you're,
noise
if
volume.
you're going
Yeah,
at
the
noise
noise.
and stuff at 6 a.m, and the people who are going to complain are the ones who can hear it.
Well,
Yeah,
they'll be
sort of
in
Gordon Road
Gordon
type.
Road.
Exactly.
And then they're
That's
all
what I'm saying,
older
but they're,
people.
they're a fair way away. They've got long roads.
The point being that when we were going to put the skate park in, we had to spend thousands of pounds getting a noise level thing done,
Yeah.
an inquiry. It was thousands, it cost, you know, it was amazing.
But
And all the
I
people who said it
remember
was
it
going to
well.
be really, really bad were the complainers in Gordon Road.
Yeah.
In fact, nobody's complained.
nobody's
since.
moaned. And in
No.
actual fact,
But we had to spend the money, that's what I'm saying.
it's actually the other playground that probably gives them more hassle.
Yeah.
Well, so
Oh,
So I don't
okay,
think
3
noise
month
would be a
period.
problem.
is anybody not comfortable with that? We give him a 3 month period, we
No,
make it clear
I
no
know
one
it's
can
got-
come
I
to
think we
left
have to
Of
ask
course
a
it's
few
not.
questions first about the equipment where
there.
if they're thinking
Any equipment he brings, he's got to bring with him and take it away, can't leave anything
on a
there.
daily basis.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think that's got to be a definite, because if he leaves it there, it's going to get vandalised.
Well, if he leaves it there, it's going to get vandalised done, or somebody may hurt themselves on it, which
Yeah,
we can't allow.
absolutely,
So, yeah.
dead right.
So the equipment's got to come and go every day, Annika.
Do we have to put in a requirement, though, on the, I hate to say this, the health and safety issue of having people coming along?
Well, so that is
So
something.
he's got
because-
insurance.
Well,
We've just been told he has got insurance to cover that situation.
Well, I know, but I think we ought to make sure that we stick that in as well.
Can we see a copy? Yeah, we need to see a copy of his
You know,
insurance.
we need to see a
No,
copy,
it's
probably
in-
like
It
this.
seems like
Who you sent
over-egging it, but on the other hand,
Has
this
he
is a
already
public space.
And-
It's not
and-
their private
No,
gym
no,
area.
No, and we are a council. We
And
have to
we're a
see,
council.
and we are a council. We have to be seen to be doing this properly. I think we need to make sure they've got proper, you know, public insurance.
We've seen that already, Hanika saying.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just over-egging the pudding, maybe.
Well, and is the other potential problem, although, no, it isn't with that, you know, the fact we own the land, does that in any way make us liable for anything anybody does on there? I'm thinking, you know, if they have their
Well,
own...
that's what we're talking
It
about.
probably does.
You know, but the fair comes, and if, you know, if something happened, well, the fair was there, it's our land, but
They're responsible because of the public liability insurance they've got. and
Well,
not their insurance.
Yeah,
Every
I
time-
think there must be an element of responsibility
Every time
for
the
us.
fair and the circus come, they leave all their insurance liability documents copies with
Right.
us.
Yeah, but
So-
Yeah,
I'm really
there's
trying
already
to
a
say,
system for that.
yeah, we have a system,
Yeah.
and we just should make sure that if this thing goes up,
that you
we have
follow
the same,
system.
we have the same system.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it surely should be anyway.
So if you have those conversations with Hanika, if there's anything you're not comfortable about, then let's take a
What I
look
will
at it.
do is issue a similar contract letter that we
Okay.
do for a fair or a circus.
Good. Okay, any more for that one? No?
No.
We okay? All right. Next one. Spend the £350 on updating water systems at the courthouse, as per Anglia Water Inspection. I'm not sure we've got any choice, have we really?
I would say
Just got to
no,
do that.
I think that's a big tick. Let's get on with it.
Well, we've got a choice, don't
We haven't got any choice. If anything went wrong, and they'll come along and say, well, we told you, we're up the Swanee, aren't we?
Yeah, public buildings, we've got
Yeah,
them
it's
squeaky
just
clean,
we've got
haven't
to
we?
ratify it by
Yeah.
bringing it to the meeting, basically, isn't
I
it?
think we actually,
Propose, Peter.
we can vote for that.
Second,
Yep, second.
All in favour?
All in favour?
So,
Good.
we? Job done.
Tick. Right, next one. Okay, approve request from the festival to use the rec for parking on the 8th of July.
that's another absolute big tick.
They've done that before, haven't they?
Absolutely.
No, I'm sorry, I'm
Are you not?
objecting
Are you
to it.
objecting to it?
What?
Well, because I don't think we should allow parking on the wreck. I mean, if it's raining that day, it's going to ruin the wreck for weeks.
We've always done it though.
Have we?
Well, that was what I was going to ask, and I seem to remember there's a precedent, but if we've done it before, it's not, unless there was some problem, it's not reasonable for us to
Well,
deny it.
Okay, may I just
Sorry,
come back?
if we have, then I'll bow to,
Yeah,
bow
okay.
to the council, but
Hang on a minute.
Hanika, have
What
we-
I would say is, if we don't, where else are they going to go?
Well,
That's one
where else they go is they'd make park in the field like they did for the food festival. Back to the point, if it rains, that's even worse there because it's low ground.
Absolutely, it's in the floodplain.
Can we not have some parking there when there was something on to do with the rugby?
Yeah.
There was an oil
Yes.
spill, and it was. I went down there to the gym, and it was full of. I saw the parents with the youngsters coming back from rugby trials. And
This
it was
is
full.
yeah, this is only one day.
Yeah, it's only one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I recollect, but you can confirm, Hanika, I'm sure we've done it before for the festival.
We
haven't
definitely have.
So I don't think we can legitimately refuse
we
it
can
unless we
do a
actually have
similar
problems.
thing to the boot camp. We can issue a letter that says we accept no liability for any
That's
good.
vehicles left.
Yep.
You know, the gates have to be locked when everyone leaves, that sort of thing. Just
Well, and if there are
Good
vehicles left there and the
housekeeping.
gates are locked, then that's not our
what
problem.
about
Exactly.
damage to the field
And the
itself?
litter pick.
Sorry,
What
Peter.
about damage to the field itself?
It's
Well,
a recreation
you can-
ground, for heaven's sake. That's
you
the way
can
I'm
say, Peter, for example, if it rained continuously between now and the 8th of July,
We may have to
that we
review it.
say no.
Yeah.
Then they know. Yes.
Have we missed something here? It's talking about the evening of the 8th until midnight. It's not during the day of the festival.
Ah, okay. Well,
It's
Yeah,
not.
it's for
So
the
they're only
cinema.
asking for the evening for this outdoor cinema screening.
Oh, so they're putting an event on the wreck.
No. It's on
Where's
the-
where's the
I
civil-
just wondered
by
if I
board.
could request
Sorry,
permission for people to park on the wreck on the evening of 8th of July for our outdoor cinema screening. Gates open at 8 and the screening will finish at midnight-ish. I think she is talking about showing it down there by the sound of that. Where else is she going to do an outdoor cinema they're parking on there. I bet she's going to show the films there as well, isn't she?
No.
Well, it sounds
film
like
was
it,
on the
actually,
wharf.
yeah, from this letter.
I'm not sure about that.
I thought the film was on the wharf field, and therefore people can't park on it, so
Ah.
they have to park somewhere
That-
else.
that-
That's to the film.
That is
That's what they did
my,
last
that
time.
is
So it's only
my,
across the road, that's fine.
that's my half
We
understanding.
can find
That's what
out,
they did
can't we?
last time,
That's
wasn't it,
why they
last
want the
year?
rec to park.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they don't flog the, you know, they don't
They're
clog
not in
up
the way.
the wharf area.
Okay.
What she could do is that American idea of you turn up in your car and watch a film.
Yeah, driving.
Drive-in cinema
Yeah.
for a night.
Yeah.
Especially if it's pouring down with rain.
Look, I understand your concerns, Peter, because clearly, if it's a quagmire, it could make a hell of a lot of mess. But the fact is, it's a recreational facility and it should be used for
Oh, yeah, look,
the general purpose.
I'm not, all I'm saying is that, you know, I mean, we're coming into a period of, from what I understand, for the next week or so, we're coming into a period of very heavy rain.
We are, that's
so-
true.
so
I've seen the forecast.
If we can go back to, is it Camilla?
Yeah.
And say in principle we're okay with it.
But we would make an assessment ourselves.
We need to,
would
yeah,
look at
we
the
need to make an
ground.
assessment a few
Well,
days before.
Yeah,
And it's up to us.
Yeah,
it's a quid
Yeah.
pro
There is
quo.
a precedent.
yeah.
It's been done
And if we
before.
feel that the ground is not suitable, then, you know, she just needs to bear in mind she
Our
needs a backup
judgment.
plan. Yeah. Which might be the, you know, rugby club car park or
Well,
something, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know how many people will go and watch a film and sit on a soggy field anyway.
Oh, well, you make a good
It's
point.
wet.
If the weather's bad, the whole thing may be called off. So. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all right with that. And
Well,
those
we're
provisos.
just going to cross our fingers now, then, haven't we?
It might bring some people into the town to shop before.
At midnight.
Between 6 and
Or
12.
to eat at Dexter's.
I'm closed.
It might bring some people into town
dear.
before.
Okay,
no
any more on that one?
conversation.
Are we
Okay,
happy?
yeah.
Okay, moving swiftly on. Quote for new bunting. Oh, look, what have we got?
I don't think we've got a choice about this one either.
Well,
We've
apart,
got 2 quotes.
we've got 2 quotes. So.
All right, well,
The second one, it doesn't say, the packs for the second one are 10 metre lengths. The pack for the first one is 50 metre lengths. The first one is saying 9 50 metre lengths. How many is the second one? Or are they just quoting per individual and we've got to add them up ourselves? Because the second one looks a lot more expensive if we've got to have 45 of them to have the same length of...
And we don't
Bunting
want
as
to
a
have to
first.
keep joining it up, do we? Our
No.
lengths are reasonably long.
10 metre runs,
Are we?
you
we've
know.
got more than 10 metre runs between our buildings.
We have, yes.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That's what I
25,
like to have.
15, 15, 25, 20, 25, 20, 25, 15, 15, 15, 15, 30, etc, etc. So yeah, 10 metre runs won't really do it. We'd have to stick
No, we'd have to be joining
join
up
two
all the
together.
time.
and run the risk of them coming untied
Well, it's
No,
a
that's no
weak
good.
point.
upon high over the top of the town.
Well, yeah, no, I guess either they supply standard lengths and we then kind of cut and join them.
And it's
To
more
what we need.
expensive. The 50 metre ones sound like the...
The
sound
50
like the-
metre one is cheaper by a
Is
considerable
one of the
amount.
quotes the people in
Because if
France?
you're looking at 10 metre
Yeah.
lengths times 10, that's £79.50, or times 5, sorry. That's 5 times 8 is 40,
Yeah,
and this one works out at just under £24
yeah.
for the 50 metre there. So the first quote is cheaper by a considerable amount.
Yeah.
And they can do installation and putting it up and take it down if we want.
I know, that's what I was saying.
that would be jolly nice.
Well, we might want to talk to them about
Well, I
that.
think, I think it might be
cherry-pick
worth actually asking them what the cost is,
Yeah. It's worth asking.
to be honest,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you know,
Because we've had to get
That-
the cherry picker out last time, didn't we?
We were fortunate in that we were able to use it.
Did we ever get a bill for the second day, Hanukkah, the Sunday?
I don't know.
No? You don't know?
She's not had one, obviously.
Well, it wouldn't come to me, would it? Go to
Oh,
Emma, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
so can we accept the first one and ask them to quote for the
Yeah.
fitting?
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Is that a
I-
proposal? I
Golly,
say?
that was much easier than I thought.
All in favour?
Just to confirm, that is is it Christmas Christmas?
Christmas, yeah.
Christmas Plus Limited, they're called.
Okay.
They came
Do you like
recommended
as well?
by Thrapston Town Council.
Good.
Oh, they're good.
Good.
They're
All
good.
helps.
Town accounts manager.
They're doing lights now.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going up there cherry picking.
Okay.
I put the bunting up one year. I helped to do that. I was up a ladder.
You can
Next
go up
one.
ladders.
Next one,
Next.
Legionella risk assessments.
Oh, yeah.
Got no choice.
This sounds like a no-brainer as well.
Yeah.
No choice.
Well, you had the original one for here, and then you asked me to go away and get all the buildings
You
done,
did.
so that's what I've done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right
No
too,
choice.
I think.
No brainer.
So risk
I
assessment.
propose it.
And we haven't got a choice of provider, I guess, have we? Or they're all going to
Yeah,
be
we
No.
have, but
I propose it.
Yeah.
this is the company that have installed the system at Fletton, which is why I ended up going
Yeah,
to
okay.
them.
Do you want a
They are.
seconder?
Yep. Let's go with it.
I'm,
Well, they're known,
I'm
aren't they?
proposing
They're
it.
known, aren't they? So that's... They're a
Doctor.
known
Those
Yeah,
in favour
done.
of it.
Okay.
Updated high conditions.
Actually, these have all been sorted out and they're okay now, I think. Have you read them?
I haven't gone through them in detail, no.
I've had a quick flick through.
I didn't see anything. Because Malcolm went through them in the night.
Yeah.
And I think basically you've adjusted them. You've done the two different ones now, which is good. One for Fletton Hall and one for QBH. I couldn't see any, but I mean, I'm not used to sort of higher booking conditions, but I couldn't see any problems in them. So,
We've been pretty well working to those for
yeah,
eons.
I don't think there's any problem with them.
Well, and I think, as usual, we can sit here staring at them forever and a day, and there could be something there we just don't think of until we get them out there and start working to them. So it isn't as if we can't change them if we've got a problem.
No.
They're not set in stone.
So as I did,
A lot of
I did
people
go
put a
through
lot
them
of-
and I thought they were okay.
We
But
can review them every year.
I think so. A lot of people put a lot of effort in putting them together. I think let's put them out there and start using them. And if we come across any glitches or things, circumstances we hadn't thought of, then that's when we decide what to do about it.
Yep.
I think the main thing was that we actually did separate them. So we've got the QVH and we've got the Arundel Fletton House, which I think was important because doing it the other way, nobody really could see the QVH name.
And like all these things, they can and should evolve. So if we come across new circumstances, then okay, we do something different.
If we issue them to people and people hire on that basis, we're stuck with it for those hirings.
We are, for sure.
It's a case of then we can review it
Yeah.
periodically and change them for future hirings, but
Yep.
yeah,
Also,
so
that's
that's
why
fine.
I put at the bottom that they now have to sign, because you never get anyone's signature otherwise. So basically, you don't know that they've read them, and they're not
Yeah,
actually
good point.
signing to say they accept them.
Good point.
Very good point.
Okay, so we're all happy to
Yes.
Yeah.
put those into operation? Do we need a vote on that or
I'll propose it.
second? Yeah.
I'm in.
Everyone, good. Thank you. Okay, the next thing is the workshop. One of the companies I spoke to, the bizarre thing is that you talk to these guys and they prepare a quote based on a telephone conversation, which is not the easiest way to describe
on
how a
the
building is
workshop.
going to look.
I thought they were on the hub.
It's
Received
the hub.
notes from the Hub Working Party meeting in
Oh,
June,
sorry, okay, I
and then the
missed that.
Fletton House extension. We've skipped a page, I think.
Yeah, it's the hub.
It's the hub.
It is the hub.
Okay, sorry, right. Yes.
You don't have to do things in the order on the agenda, but
No. I was going through the all the attachments, so I'd skip that.
yeah,
That's
that's
my fault.
okay. I mean, we're just receiving the notes, so we receive them.
Is there anything of consequences there we need to note?
Yeah, this is based on one exceptionally good week, and it's giving a bit of a misleading impression that we're doing a lot better than we did last year, suggesting in that 1 week, instead of, as against £2,038 last year, we've done 2,611 the same week this year. It's got more days comparing, you know, more days in the second this year than it did last year. The other thing is, I've looked at what we've done from the start of this year, from 1st of April. And in fact, I've looked at, I got some take-ins figures out of off the EPOS system in the hub this week, which is what we've been trying to get for a while. I've finally been able to get them. Councillor Oakes helped me to convert them from the PDF into a form I could use in spreadsheets. April, it looks rather different to what we've got there, because last year we had approximately 8.5 grand in the month of April last year, against just under 5 grand, 4,978 this year, so we're 3.5 grand down on that 1 month as opposed to last year. And bear in mind, this time last year we were losing substantially, so we must be losing even more. The May figures have gone up slightly on last year. From 6,914 last year, May went up to 7,332, so that's up £318. So May is doing slightly better. June, we're not at the end of the month yet, but looking on where we are, we're about 776 down with a week to go, so we should be up in June marginally. The question is whether or not we're taking enough in to be breaking even. And the big problem is, if you look at, you take any of these weeks, you've got, each week we're spending about £1,100 plus on staffing. You've got about £400 on overheads, so you need £1,500 net of VAT of take-ins just to pay those two. Whatever take-ins you've got, approximately, say about a third, up to a third of it is cost of, you'll spend that in raw materials to, in order, if you're selling £1,000 worth of food, you've got about £300 to £350 worth of purchases that you buy in to sell as finished product. So you've got the cost of that. So when you take all that into account, you are, some weeks you're slightly in the red and some weeks you're slightly in the black. And we need to look overall. I think we need a lot more figures, which it actually says in here, actually quotes me as saying we can't really do much with this until we get the full accounts, the full income and expenditure for the hub and really drill down into it, especially as regards looking at staffing numbers. We need to look at costs before we look at staffing numbers. But they're really the only comments I've got. They've had a few issues with furniture. Some of this furniture that was donated to us, we now know why it was donated, because some of it's fallen to bits on us. But it was gratefully received at the time. It's done us 18 months, nearly 2 years of service, so we can't complain. What I've said in the short term is, rather than spend money buying tables and chairs, in the short term, I think we very rarely use all the tables and chairs in the QVH all at the same time. So borrow some from there if we need, if we're short for the hub. Don't go and buy any more furniture for the hub just at the moment until we get income up and we get some more of these functions.
Two things I'd say about that, Wayne.
Carry on.
I'll go to the furniture first. Firstly, the QVH furniture is not in the same style as the hub furniture.
No, it's not.
And I think that was odd.
It's got QVH on it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
I think
you
that
couldn't
was
do
odd. Unless we dress it, which is quite easy to do. We can dress it, but then again, it depends on what we're going to be doing in the hub in the future. Whether you dress it to make it look upmarket, or you dress it down to make it look the way the hub looks at the moment. So there's that. The other thing, and I can't remember what it was now, because I was sort of going on about the furniture, But I think the other thing as well is that, from what I've seen of the thing tonight, I'd asked two questions. How much did we make on the 7th of June? Because you've got that figure. Did we make a loss or did we make a profit on the 7th of June?
On that specific day, I don't know.
Well, the reason I ask you see is because we've got here promotional events in June, which was obviously the tour, the women's tour.
Yeah.
The women's tour, I would have thought should have brought more money in. And if you're saying now that June we're only going to be roughly breaking even, it means that the women's tour wasn't that effective.
Women's tour brought nothing in that
Brought
day.
nothing in, I would think.
Right.
Do you know the most effective day was polling day?
Well, yeah, obviously
We got
people having a
huge
cup of coffee.
amount that day
Yeah.
because
That
lots
was
of people came in that had no choice.
More elections, that's what
We
we need.
need more elections. Yes!
We'll hold a referendum every day. Independence for Arundel next week, for the week after.
You got there just about a millisecond before
I-
me.
I accept all you... Sorry, Peter, you're still talking.
So, that's all right.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, I accept all you say, but I also agree with Roy that until we know it's going to at least break even, we should avoid spending any unnecessary money. So I think whilst chairs from somewhere else, I don't think they're going to make or break whether or not people sit there and buy coffee or cake. I think we should use QVH furniture or furniture from somewhere else until we know what the long-term future is going to be.
There will be more people sitting outside on the outside furniture as we're into the summer period. So it is possible that we might kind of just stagger through. But I agree totally with Peter. We can't, it would be a bad thing to spoil the style of the hub. Really, really bad thing to do. We must find another way of
I do agree with
doing
that
it.
as well. I must say, I do agree with that, and I did say so on the day at this meeting. But the last thing we want to do is spend a lot of money and then very shortly conclude that it's, this thing.
No, I think we can manage with less for the summer.
Yeah.
Because we'll be outside.
And what we must we must crack on with getting these commercial events in. We must get these corporate bookings in and then see what that brings us in and see how that changes our fortunes with respect to the hub.
Yeah, I can't imagine we make any major decisions about the future of the hub until the end of the year. We've got to see how the rest of the year goes. So.
Yeah.
I mean, when,
No.
no, that's right. You can go if you wish.
You see, I'm coming to the meeting on, as you know, on Friday to discuss this. But I see the hub as, from what I've seen of the figures and what we've talked about, I see the hub as going down fairly quickly and not recovering in its present state. I don't honestly see the hub actually working, and I think by Christmas everybody will be saying close the damn thing if you don't sort it soon. So I disagree with not buying furniture. I think if the furniture needs to be replaced, it's got to be replaced. I also think that we ought to look at ways of, with the executive letting of the halls and rooms here, we look at offering a far better quality of food and service. And the other thing I think I would talk about on Tuesday in more detail is, quite frankly, I think the opening times are ridiculous. I think they've got to be opened a lot longer, and we've got to make the staff far more flexible than what they are. So I'm just talking as a businessman, and I'm not talking. I'm just seeing it from my point of view, and from what I think would be the only way the hub's going. Because if the hub keeps going the way it is, I can see us sitting here next year and not having a hub.
Well, and I don't doubt anything you say. That the only danger with that approach is it means putting more money into it, to see if it's going to work. But if the group that are working with the hub and the marketing team think that's what it needs to give it its kind of not last chance, that sounds wrong, but to give it a real good chance, then maybe that's what we've got to do. Honey?
You need a plan. There's never been a plan.
I think this is the problem. I think
You need a
everything's
business
just
plan,
been
you
running
need to
along.
decide on what market you're aiming for,
There
what your
is.
style is, and then you can build on all that, and you should know then what money
Well,
you
that's
need
why
to
I'm coming
invest.
on
But the
Friday, just to sit
furniture
down and find
was
out about it.
I haven't got it with
upcycled,
me.
so it wasn't
But-
expensive.
No.
We
There
had a
is-
caretaker who was fantastic at upcycling furniture and buying
There is a
it.
business plan. Joanna drew one up to start with, and I worked on it with her and finished it off. So there is a business plan for the hub. There was one done.
But you need to
way
think
back.
about, you know, it was done in a particular style.
You see,
Do
the
you
other
keep
thing
that
that...
style? Do you change it?
Mm.
Well,
People
I
seem
think,
to
I think,
like
we've got,
it.
I think what we're going to do is,
Sorry,
Neville, my
It's
apologies,
all right.
I'm cross talking and I should-
No,
I apologise.
it's all right. I've just been waving a bit. Look, I'm trying to understand myself. I mean, looking at numbers and various other bits and pieces, whether we're going to turn the hub into some kind of, shall we call it, a restaurant. Now, when it was originally envisaged, I don't think anybody thought we were going to actually have it the way it is at the moment. I think the general idea originally, when I was working on the Fletton House project, before I exited from that, was that we possibly would just have vending machines. Now, we might be staring down the barrel of a gun here and saying, look, we won't see the hub as it is, and people have to put some coins in the slot machine in order to get their bag of crisps, a cup of coffee, and have it, you know, fulfilled by external people who supply the goods and do it on that basis. We maybe charge the rental. I don't know how the contract would work, but we might be staring down the barrel of a gun if some of Roy's figures are to be, you know, to be accepted. The other big problem is we're between a rock and a hard place here, because one of the things we can't do is seem to be making a profit out of this. Otherwise, we're going to, you know, there are various other people who are competitors to us in the town, or say the residents, are subsidising, you know, this whole adventure. So, I mean, it's a really difficult position that we're in, to be frank.
Well, I think, to me, making a reasonable profit isn't a bad thing, because a lot of it will get reinvested in the facility, and you know, it goes back into our budget, and that hopefully
Yeah, well, effectively,
stays
what you're
increase-
saying, non-profit
increase-
making is what
increase it,
I'm
yeah.
we're sort of neutral profit
Yeah.
making. Right?
There are ways of improving what I've seen, and making a profit, you know, without making a huge amount of profit. But there are ways of making the whole thing more professional, more slick, more attuned to a better quality of merchandise that's available, food that's available, if you like.
So back to Hanneke's point, she's right in that we do need a plan going forward, which
Exactly.
allows us to introduce some of the ideas you talk about, Peter, monitor how well they go, you know, on a, not just on a daily basis, but a rolling week or a rolling month basis, to see if there's any consistent impact from the things we're talking about doing. And then there needs to be a review process that, you know, whatever we think at the appropriate times, say, how did that work? Good thing, yes, more of it, no, less of it. And
Well, we've got, can I just say
No,
quickly, I mean, there's a big item coming up on the next item on the agenda, and that might be, you know, part of what we have to consider.
Well, yeah, I'm coming in now, just for a few moments.
well,
We can't improve the kind of food or make big changes, Peter, because you could have a problem cooking a fly down in that kitchen.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually been
grossly
in the
inadequate
kitchen,
for the
so I
job.
don't honestly
You
know.
could not.
Probably wouldn't fit in it.
So the next
But we
item
have
on the
got-
agenda is that we've been planning
Yeah,
to improve
exactly.
the cooking,
Yeah,
the kitchen facilities.
There are small.
So
there
we've
are
got,
small
but then
things.
we would have to, I think, do some costing about exactly what quality we do want to produce.
Absolutely.
but
Because
to me, you've got a very successful business in town that
looking at your,
you look at Beans or someone like that, and that seems to be the kind of offering that people want. And if we can do something similar at more reasonable price, because some of their products are too expensive, I guess, or people would say so.
well, we do much the kind
Yeah.
of thing that Beans do. Yeah.
We've got actually, if
Almost
you
a
look in the
replica,
town, and I want to come back to one other point after this, but if you look in the town, you've actually got the pizza place that does very well, you've got Beans that do very well,
Very balloon.
and you've actually got Dexter's now, which is not doing too badly as well. they're offering 3 different types.
We can't
we
quote
can't,
on that
no, we
basis.
can't do, we can't,
Begin to do
no,
it.
I know, but what we can do is formulate our own brand. And what we're not doing at the moment, we're not formulating a brand at all, we're just willy-nilly going all on cakes, soups and,
Well, that's our brand.
yeah, but it's not a brand, it's not a brand that people want in this town, so we've got to do something else to do with that. But anyway, that's something I'll bring up
another-
on.
when you have your
So the guys who are currently helping out with the hub, meeting with the
yes.
hub staff, and it's yourself and Malcolm and is it Roy?
Yeah.
You
We're going to sort of have a chat on
I was going to say, are you guys happy to put together that plan going forward?
Oh,
Of
yeah.
what you think
Yeah.
you know
And
we
then-
need to do, and how we establish whether it's the right thing, and you know how we review it.
Of course. And then the only other thing I have to point out, and I'm not trying to be pernickety, furniture, it all has to comply with fire safety and health and safety. And
Sure.
from what I'm gathering at the moment, it doesn't do either, because people are just spray painting it. We don't know if the spray paint is fire retardant.
Yeah, I had to use the right products.
Yeah, so I mean,
Like these
Yes.
curtains.
yeah, well I know.
Yes, everything that
We
was
did
done in
those.
this building, Peter, was done,
It's all fine.
wasn't
Well,
it?
I think we're reasonably safe on that.
We're
Yeah,
okay with
I
that,
think we're
are we?
okay.
Even though it's second-hand
Yeah.
furniture.
We're reasonably safe on
That's
that.
what
I
I'm
think.
thinking.
Yeah, it was all done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
that's the only other concern I
But
have.
that's a
So
good point to
In
make.
terms of replacing the furniture, are we happy for Hanneke to talk to whoever's done the furniture before and see if they're able to replace it, or do we want to explore other options?
See, I mean, we can always talk to our restorers and see whether they'll
We
repair.
don't need to, we
Just
can
a-
just go
We've
and
got a
buy
maintenance man, haven't we?
4 or 5 chairs, that's all we're talking about, isn't it? We're not talking about huge amounts of furniture. I think you,
Well,
if I
whatever
say,
we're-
I
Is it
think
mainly
Roy's
chairs?
fear was that the girls down there are wanting to rush out and spend lots of money, like they went and spent loads of money on cutlery and plates and things that are sitting in a pile. I've seen them myself on the
Been
floor,
there 6 months, they were
doing
bought in
bugger all,
January.
never having been used.
Yeah, they won't be used till we do the
Well, I
corporate.
think what
entertainment.
Roy's worry is that if we say let's go and get more furniture, that this thing will become
But
huge.
the nice thing about the furniture we've got there is the sort of stuff you could these days pick up relatively
Yeah,
cheaply at
absolutely.
auction.
Which is where
And
the
the
answer
goldsmith
is.
Where it came from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there we
That's
go.
where it came from.
You just go and it's
Yes,
£5 for a
yes,
chair and that's
yes.
it.
Fusses.
So, Hanneke, are you okay to talk to whoever's done the furniture before and see ballpark what they think they'd replace the broken items for? Is that the way we need to do it?
I don't know, it was done
No.
by volunteers,
Okay.
so I don't know how you would get them all put together.
Okay.
Hanneke, is it mainly chairs that are broken?
Yes, chairs.
Yeah, it's chairs.
Half a dozen chairs. I mean, it's not a big.
It's not
No,
tables
and
and
things
stuff.
like the tables, they could probably be painted again and varnished and made
Yeah,
they'll be
good
quite
over
solid,
the
'cause
summer.
they're
Again,
big.
over the summer.
yeah,
that's
that
what
could
we
be done
want.
over the. Yeah,
Well, we'll look at that then.
I think.
I don't think we need to fit the whole thing out again.
No, we don't.
Do we not?
No, what I'm saying is you need to sort
It's
of
things
not-
like the cane
use it.
chairs.
It
have
just
got
needs a bit of
rough
TLC
bottom.
because it gets a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah.
So is there a budget that can already be used for that, or are we talking about an amount of money that we're going to have to approve? Or is it something we can just do as expense items along the
I'm
way?
looking at Roy now.
I don't think we've budgeted to spend money on furniture in the hub at the moment. I don't think there's ever a time when every single table is used. Even if we've got a bad table, we take it out and have one less. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think we're ever at, apart from perhaps on a Saturday morning when the ballet is in there as well, where we're at capacity. And then some of that is ballet parents. Once we get the changing room, we might not have them occupying part of that room, and we might not have the part of it used for ballet changing once we get the changing room, so that will free up some more space in there.
Wasn't there a comment about children running around?
Yeah, that was in the report as well.
That's in the report.
But I'm assuming that's because of the ballet. Maybe the young children.
Well, I've met a resident with a 3 toddlers, and she's been put off going to the hub which she really enjoyed doing, because it's the only place she can go where she can take her toddler, because we have nothing else. I'm not mentioning any names of soft play,
Oh,
but we have
go
nothing
away.
else.
I knew that would come
No, no,
up. It had to come
She snuck it in again.
Anyway, no, just to finish, so she enjoyed going for a cup of coffee until she was shouted at by some people, presumably who were sitting at a table, because her child was crying. Now, she said, it's a baby, it's going to cry. So that was an issue for her.
But that will always be. There'll
That's
always
always,
be something
you're always going to
like
have
that.
unreasonable people like that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, who've got no consideration.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm only
Be
throwing.
happy.
I'm keeping
Bobby
quiet.
McFerrin, 19...
The other thing I'll say though, you know, I think the agenda item receive the notes and hear what some of the issues are, but ultimately it's for the working party with the hub to determine the plan of action going
Make a
forward.
little
So
list. All
yeah,
they need to do is
I don't
make
think
a wee list of
we can do that. I
how
think
many
we should
chairs
do
they
that. I
need
think it should be the
and-
guys who chosen to be involved. And yeah.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
No, it's not, no.
Or it shouldn't be.
Okay. So are we happy that we've received those and we've read them and we've chucked them about? But ultimately, it's not for us, I think, to determine what the plan is. Yeah. Okay. The next thing was the.
Workshop?
No, I think there's
Project
one.
plan, costing.
You got it.
Well, we were going to talk about the extension. weren't we?
Extension of Floating House.
And what?
When you say...
But we haven't got that in our pack, have we?
No,
No.
I'm
Can I
No,
just
because
say...
you have to.
you don't-
There is no project.
We haven't
plan
got
yet.
one.
You've got to decide what you're going to do.
We haven't got one, that's what I'm saying. It says
That's
to
why it's
agree
on
one.
here.
I don't know whether we're going to sit down here now and write it, or are we going to have a subcommittee to write one up and send it to council, or what?
I thought we'd had plans drawn up for this.
The
No,
architect.
this
They are.
No, but your actual business plan of where
How it's
No.
going to work.
the implication
Yeah.
of building the extension
Oh, right,
on
okay.
the hub figures, for
Mhm.
example, how does that fit in the plan?
And also,
You're going
of
to
course,
take out a loan.
we're going to have to
build
go to
the
the Public
extension.
Works Loan Board as well,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
in order to do that, so there's got to be some calculations done here.
We've got to show some benefit that at least offsets the cost
Yes,
of the loan. haven't we?
Agreed,
Yeah.
agreed.
So
So,
that actually two part really. Firstly, you've got to show the benefits to the ballet. So we've got to say that the changing room will increase, hopefully, the ballet lesson intake, and therefore increase the amount we get from the ballet. And B, we've got to show that the hub, having a better kitchen extension, will be able to show an increase in amounts of food can be done, and what type of food can be done, and the costings against that. Now that second part really has got to be down to the hub working party anyway, isn't it? You know, so I'm assuming then what we've got to do is look at ways of putting a plan forward that shows that it is worthwhile doing both these projects. Now we've already actually said that these projects are worthwhile doing, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we have a gut feeling that they're worth doing, you know, and the danger of the ballet is if we don't do it, we may lose the ballet to somewhere else in the future. Yeah, rather than I think you're going to see, the ballet's going to see a much incremental increase in you know, the number of students or what they take. But
You've got to provide
It's going to be
proper facilities. They
Yeah.
can't be changing, stripping off in the middle of the hub,
no,
which
no,
is what
this
they've
day
been
and
doing.
age is
I-
too
Even
sensitive,
behind,
isn't it?
even behind that.
No, it's not good.
Well, I mean, once the
well,
school...
they don't even do that, they don't even go behind the screens.
No.
Once the school's got their facility up and running, if we haven't got that here, we're going to lose it.
Lose
And we
it,
know
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
really, don't we? You know, so, I mean, really what we've got to do is put a feasibility study together.
Well, we effectively were doing that at one stage. We did come up with where we were going with the hub kitchen, because the plan is we could only handle something like about 15 covers down in the hub kitchen as it stands. If we're going to do these corporate things and what have you, or anything upstairs, anything elsewhere, we need something like 50. So the difference was to go from 15 to 50 is where we were looking at with the bigger kitchen. And that again is not full 3-course meals, it's basic
Sandwich type.
sandwiches, soup and
Tea and cake. Or
Roast-
tea and cakes in the
Roast
afternoon.
potatoes.
Okay, so what we've got to do then is actually do something properly sorted out, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously you can't just guesstimate these things. You've got to sort of put a plan together that actually
No,
makes
because at
sense.
the moment you don't even know how much of a loan to apply for.
Exactly,
we
You
don't.
literally
That's the
know.
point.
Okay.
We know the cost of the buildings, don't we?
A rough estimate, but
Yes.
again, the figure we came up with, he said that was very economical, didn't he? He thought it'd be more than that.
Yeah. So what we've got to do is we've got to factor in.
He said that's on the lower end of
He did.
what he could do it for.
No, but
Yeah.
what we've got to do is factor in more kitchen equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Basic changing equipment, lockers, etc., because that's not going to be in the building plan. And probably a slightly higher spec for building, including making a higher spec for the kitchen to make sure that it's fireproof, etc., for the rest of the building.
well, the other thing is, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how well we would do on the hygiene front.
Well, that's not a problem because there are now various materials that we can use on the walls.
No, I
on
understand
the
that.
floors.
I'm talking about as things are at the moment.
Well, no, I mean, obviously we've got to...
We've had
Well,
no
it's perfectly
problems.
all right.
We've had loads
No,
of
no, but
inspections.
We keep on
have we had-
passing the
Okay, well, that's
first
great.
We've been inspected from the word go. We've had
Well, that's
all
great.
inspections.
Okay, I'm just
Everything,
asking.
everything is in order.
I'm not criticising.
No,
I'm
we're
just
not
asking
thinking
the
you are,
question.
we're just wondering why you haven't realised that we keep getting our 5 stars.
I'm assuming that's...
Well, there isn't a certificate up, I can see.
I think the
Really?
feedback
It's in the
level is
window.
that there is no
It's in the
concern.
window.
Is
It
it?
has to be.
Well, I
isn't
missed
it?
it.
Has to be.
Oh, there you go.
I'll show you on the way out.
Show me where it is.
But is it not a project plan as in, so you know, that you are actually doing, right, day one, we want to achieve this, it's going to cost us this, the outcome is this, these are the steps, this is the calendar of how this work is going to progress, this is the end date when it has to be finished by,
Oh,
that sort of project plan.
no, and I think you're right. It needs that to run the project. But what we're saying is, before we even put too much effort into that, we've got to show it's viable.
Yeah.
We've got to show the business
agree.
case for
Well,
doing it.
you've got to put
We
a full
did.
costing together, haven't you?
Yeah, we
Because
did.
if someone challenges you next year at the annual town meeting and says justify your extension, you're
Well, that's what I'm saying. You've got to put
Well, we-
a proper costing together.
We did
Before
that.
you
We
can
were
do a
doing
project.
that. We were going through all that process, and then someone said, "Oh, you need to go and get a proper architect." We then got blown off course by going and getting an architect.
Exactly.
But we were going along the route of exactly what everyone's now telling us to
We
do,
should have absolutely right.
which is exactly where we were going and exactly how we were doing it.
Who blew us off course then, Roy? I can't
Probably
remember.
me.
I don't want to go into that.
All right, then go.
Well, but
It was me.
either way, you know, it's a catch-22, isn't it? What do you get your estimates or quotes for? Yeah. How do you describe to a builder what it is you want? I guess the plus in having the architect is at least he's able to define that.
Oh, we need it.
He quickly got a grasp of it, I
Yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
that day.
I mean, it's really a fairly restricted project because there are certain things we simply can't do. In other words, we can't have a pitched roof, for example.
No, so
It's things like
yeah.
that
Well,
are fairly
we've done all
straightforward.
that.
So
We've
it's a-
passed
Oh,
all
yeah,
that.
That's all sorted.
No, but the rest of us have.
We've got some
Good.
costs of the buildings which we need to just revisit. If the architect says they're at the low end, we need to allow for that, and we also need to put, again, at least an estimate together for all the fixtures and fittings and so on.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need you
And
all
then,
sorts of stuff.
and then before we start getting into planning the project, we've got to make the business case and say, you know, that's going to cost us X with a public
Don't.
We
workflow.
don't need a lot of new ovens and things.
No,
This is the
we've
whole
got
thing.
them.
We've,
It's made
we've
more
got pretty well
space.
most of what we want.
Exactly.
A lot of this stuff is coming from. They've got grand ideas. On one occasion that keeps getting cited over and over. On one occasion, a family went in there and wanted 8 jacket potatoes all in one go. And they're saying, oh, we couldn't do it, we had to do them in shifts, so we couldn't feed all 8 together. Now, that has not been repeated, I don't think, ever since. So 4 people go in and want a jacket potato meal, they get it, with the facilities we've got.
Yeah, but you want to go down the corporate route, Roy.
Yeah, but we're not going to do jacket potatoes with...
Well, I don't know what we're going
No.
to do. That's what I'm trying to say.
We've got menus all worked out, it's all been done, we've got menus costed, we're showing those menus to people who are interested in taking on the rooms. I mean, Peter will have a look at them with us Friday, we can put those menus down there and go through them again and see whether we update those, change them at all. But we've gone through all that, we've worked out what the offering will be, what the room charge is going to be, what the food charge will be, and then worked out whether we're viable, whether we're competitive with other places. All of that exercise has been done. So all of this costing and planning and everything and business plan, all of that's been done. Malcolm and I have gone through it in great detail.
See, Saturday is putting
That's
together.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, we just need
yeah.
Job done.
tidy it all up together and revisit, just check that, you know, it's still current and we're still on track with where we're going. But a lot of this has been done.
Yeah.
So if you and Malcolm can do that, Roy, and then we've got a feeling for what the likely benefits are,
Yeah.
then we just need to finish the estimating work on the buildings with the fixtures and fittings. And Hanneke, if you can look at that, is that okay? Yeah. In terms of what else we think we're going to need.
Well, we can put that together
No,
for
I
you.
don't know what you mean, because I'm completely lost, because I was asked to put this on the agenda and now it sounds like it shouldn't even be on here, so I'm completely lost.
Well, no, I think we're just
It
saying
sounds like it's all been done.
before. Well, no, some of it's been done, but I think, as Roy said, it needs to be pulled together. And the cost of the extension we've not finalised yet, because we've had an initial indication, but we've not allowed for fixtures and fittings and
So
equipment. have we?
what do you mean? The hub work subcommittee, whatever, will feed this back to estates to put it to
Yeah.
full council? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's what I need to know.
With the fixtures and fittings as well for the back.
And then from that,
in, can't we?
Yeah.
then from that we can look at how much the public works board loan is going to cost.
Yeah.
And we can look at the perceived, you know, the anticipated benefits against the cost. That tells us whether it's a bit, well, we've got a business case, whether it's even feasible, from a cost point of view and a risk point of view. If it is, then we get into the phase that I think Hanneke's described, which is okay.
It needs to be planned and dated.
Yeah. Yeah. And once you come, and then, you know, once we've got the feasibility work done, the business case work done, and the cost done, then that's got to go to full council for approval. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, next one.
Okay. Workshop. Workshop. I've had two companies so far provide initial quotes for the workshop. One understood what I said over the phone, the other did not. It amazes me that they don't send somebody out to talk to you, but these guys just do the quotes over the phone. There's a big difference between the two prices we've got, and they are just for provision and for erection of the basic building. So on the workshops, we're still not at the same point either, where we can say this is the anticipated total cost. We've got to look at groundworks, we've got to look at services, we've got to look at kitting out the building. So it's probably going to be the next committee meeting before we can have a more comprehensive cost on this. The other thing we need to do between now and then is engage the groundsmen, the landscaping guys, Johnny and Nobby, and just get their input. This looks sensible to them, and if it doesn't, how they'd like it changing. That, I don't know if anybody saw it, that's what I had in mind that it would look like in terms of layout. So at the front, the long axis is facing you across the top of the Rugby Club car park. They've got a roller shutter door each end. They can have workshop and storage in the middle. It gives them two ways for access.
Entrance and that.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be a low building, only 3 metres tall. They don't need a lot of headroom. So it's not going to be a nuisance to the people living behind because they've already got road garages there anyway.
Can I ask, read the 3 metres, is that going to be tall enough for some of the longer things that they have you know, to stand up? Because I know, I mean, obviously, I know where they are down in Eastwood Road, and they do have things that are slightly taller than 3 metres that they stand up.
Well, so that's why we need the conversation with John Nobby, I think. You know, that's an initial look. If it has to be half a metre or a metre taller, that's
Doesn't
something.
matter.
Yeah,
That can
yeah.
be sorted, can't it?
Yeah.
I think you're probably looking more 4 to 5 metre tall.
Well,
The
we
thing
just
is-
need to make sure if that's the case, we've got good reason for it, Peter, and then
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Two things we've got to do here, especially for winter time, because they work in there, they do a lot of shop work in there, especially in bad weather. We've got to think about insulation, for one thing, and the other thing is a heating system.
Yeah.
A water-based conventional radiator central heating system is not going to work in a building like that.
No,
It
you
takes
can't,
all
you
day to
can't.
get hot.
Can't use
That's
that.
the problem with where they are now, apparently. So what they need is one of these in the roof, and that might be where you need some
Space
more.
heater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might need some more height, is you need one of these big gas space heaters. You walk in, switch it on, it blasts air through, gas heating the air, and heats it rapidly, so that within half an hour they can take the coat off and get on with doing some work. And when they're finished in there and they're going outside to do some outside work, they switch the switch off, and within half an hour to an hour the building is cooling down, but by then they're off out somewhere. That's the kind of system we need, something that heats powerfully, rapidly.
I would put something on that as well. I'd actually look at maybe putting some solar panels on to generate its own heat and electricity.
Personally, I would not, but there you go.
No?
No, no. I think the economics around solar panels are fast disappearing with
They are.
government subsidies disappearing. I think they were a blip and they've gone. And in an industrial environment, I just think they're not going to contribute enough to make it
Because
worthwhile.
I don't know, and that's why.
No, I know there are no bad ideas. We're each just throwing our perceptions around. It does need some sort of industrial space heater, for sure. Both of the quotes I've had so far are for fully insulated buildings to meet building regs. Yeah.
Solar panels would be great for domestic type use for a building, but you're talking here, when they're in there, they're using workshop tools, they're using some pretty hefty kilowatt stuff,
Yes,
which
they
you
are.
won't get from solar panels.
No, fair.
The other thing is, you need to heat rapidly and when they do go in there, and I don't think you're going to get that from solar panels. And the other thing is the time of year when they're likely to be, most of their time inside is bad weather, winter time, when you're not going to get the hours of sunlight. You've got your shortest days. So always round, they're not going to get the benefits, I don't think, of solar panels in a building like that.
If there's a gas main down there, it should be a gas-fired space heater. If there isn't, worst
There is,
case,
because the
well,
rugby club have got gas, because they've got a gas meter right
Yeah.
by their front door.
So and they're the kind of things we need to put some rough costs around.
Yeah.
So next time we meet, we've got a pretty comprehensive estimate.
Yeah.
The cyclone bump they've sent is very impressive.
Both quotes
You know,
look very similar, but there is a significant discrepancy in cost.
Well,
One's
that's-
about 25 grand, the other's about 38, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
One of the things I've got to go back is just challenge them both, because has one missed something, or has the other included something that I can't see in
Well,
the
they
quote?
both got concrete floors and things.
Well, neither of them are providing the base at the moment. Those
So
quotes are
that's
for
another
the
quote.
so there's groundworks,
Yeah.
there are services, and then there's interior fixtures and fittings as well.
So, I mean, we're looking at, as you said, around about the 60, 70, 70,000 pound mark, aren't we?
Feels about right. But then you and I know, for that size industrial building, you'd probably be talking 100,000 to buy it.
Yeah,
But of course we'd have to provide the land, so it's a third. you're talking about 2/3 what you'd pay if you were to buy the one they're in, for example, yeah?
No, I still think that's better value for money.
Okay.
No better value.
So, yeah, unless anybody's got anything else to say on that, I shall continue working with Hanika and we'll continue padding out those costs. And again, hopefully for the next meeting we'll have those all defined, and again we can look at what that's going to cost in terms of public works alone and compare that with the current costs of the workshop we're renting. And that hopefully will be a much more straightforward standalone business case, because we're paying money at the moment. Hopefully we won't be in the future.
It's got to be the same cost or less as the lease is costing us now.
Absolutely right,
That's the
And the lease is 7,100 a month, isn't it? Sorry, 701. £710
You frightened me then.
£710 a month, but that does include VAT, doesn't it?
yeah. It's about £7,500 net of VAT, isn't it, a
Yeah,
year?
it's a license.
Something like that. That's why I thought it was about 8, yeah.
So you work out with this Public Works Loan Board loan, they're looking about 3% at the moment, round about that sort of figure. Work that back as a capital figure. I think we're in the right sort of region.
You're looking at about 5,500 a year.
What sort of term are you
Paying
thinking
us
about?
It feels feasible, yeah.
What sort of term are you thinking about though there, Roy? Because that's pretty critical.
Well,
20, 15, 20?
It can be as long as you want.
We could do
I
it.
know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that's one of the critical factors.
But I think we worked it originally on about 15 to 20 years, I think is what we originally
Okay.
worked it on.
Well, we couldn't choose a better time to get a public works loan board
No,
loan.
because they do it cheap, they won't
Absolutely.
be a lot longer. I looked the other day at what interest rates we're paying on the other two for QVH and Courthouse, and they're quite a bit more. So, you know, they're fixed interest loans, so grab them while we can at 3%, because there's only one way they're likely to go in the future, and that's up. So grab them, get building now.
Agreed.
Both these projects with 3%.
It makes sense.
Interest rate.
The quicker we can get them on through the
Yeah. So we need to crack on with our feasibilities before Public Works Loan Board loan prices rise, and it looks good. It looks a goer at the moment.
Well, borrowing money from them is cheap as chips at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Okay, is there anything more on the workshops? No, we move to the last items, okay. So I think we just go around the table. Anybody got anything else they want to report or raise? Roy?
The only thing we got really is this business of what land we're actually adopting from the various developers in terms of our boys doing maintenance, ground maintenance. We need at some stage, I think, to add up just what sort of areas of land we're now maintaining, because it's obviously getting bigger, isn't it, with every housing estate that comes on stream with us.
Shouldn't
No,
be.
No, we've
No,
not
because we
adopted any
don't
more land.
adopt it.
We agreed not to adopt any more
we're
land.
not adopting at all.
No, nothing.
No.
Okay, so it's not increasing.
No.
That's okay, that's
Well,
fine.
and that's clarified the question I was going to ask, because they're only mowing part of the grass up on the Hillfield Creed Road estates,
Well,
because apparently, anecdotally, the council have adopted something.
Yeah, I was
And
told that by somebody.
Yeah, so I
That's where
guess
this has all come from, yeah.
so I guess
been a
we
hot
need to
topic.
go back to Persimmon.
Everything.
But I think
Sorry.
where Roy's coming from, Councillor Sparks is coming from, the Mayor, is the issue that when the Persimmon decide to disappear from Aswell, have we got to pick the bill up?
Well,
No,
so
this is what we're saying.
yeah.
We need a letter.
We never agreed.
But we
to that.
never agreed. You see, this is the thing that I said earlier. I checked with Hanika about this. We never ever agreed to adopt any of the lands on the Creed Road estate. Never. In actual fact, I remember the meeting which we had where we specifically said, no, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, any
Now, if Persimmon suddenly to come along and say, you've adopted it, I don't know where the hell they got that from.
So can I just to
Yeah.
not kill this off necessarily?
No, please.
If you and I get together and draft a letter to Persimmon, yeah, saying, you know, we've heard this from the people who are cutting your grass. As far as it's news to us, as far as we're concerned, we're not adopting any of the land. Can you clarify?
I wouldn't
You know,
even say it's news, just say
yeah,
We haven't adopted
we
it,
have not adopted it.
yeah.
and we haven't.
So you know, can you
Mow it.
reinstate, cutting all the grass.
Yeah.
Charles, you know, that
Well,
I
that's
agree
the
on
way
the
we
strip
can
we're
send the
talking
bill.
about,
Yeah,
but they've been up recently, so outside of our house there's a little bit of green, and they've been cutting all of that, but they've just been ignoring what I call that central
yeah,
residential.
yeah, and
So
there's
they
one
are
bit
still
next to us,
cutting,
so,
and they're cutting the playground,
yeah.
they're going in the playground and doing lots
So we need to, we'll write to Persimmon and,
We need to define
make it
They're
clear.
doing
who's
all
doing
the odd
what.
little bits up,
Yeah.
up to where they've stopped building, but they've just stopped doing that
Yeah.
central bit.
It's not just that, it's the little tiny vergy areas as
Sure,
well.
yeah, no, we've got one, sorry, so Roy, thanks.
I
So
thought,
that's it, that's,
Peter, no,
no, see, I've done my bit.
No,
Val,
I'm-
you got anything else?
no,
Sue?
that was me.
Okay, Hanika, anything from your end?
No.
Meeting closed, yep,
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
thank you all.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
You can keep it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Not a problem. I have